I can't. Okay, that's fine. More anxiety. That's cool. It's fine. It's so okay. Kia ora, I'm Kiwi Jess and I play Aurelia in Rookies and Rulebook's Dragon Heist. Welcome to the very first episode of Questing and Questions, where I ask my dungeon master all the questions that my little brain comes up with. This has been a long time coming because, as many of you might be unaware, I have spent many a night annoying my dungeon master with all of my burning questions, and now you get to hear all of them in all their glory. Without further ado, follow along with me as I ask Sean all of my burning Dungeons & Dragons questions. If you have your own, leave them in the comments below.
All right, take it away. What is your first question?
Can I kill off my character?
As in, like, can you kill your own character, or like because you're?
Could I be like, hey, Sean, I want my character to die in this campaign. Am I able to, like, handle that? Am I able to, like, euthanize myself as it were?
Well, okay. So, there are a few reasons you would want to, and certainly the answer is yes, right? If you said, for example, hey, I want to give my character a noble end, that's how I want my character, like, that's the end of my character's story, right? Mm-hmm. They need to sacrifice themselves for the party. Yeah, that's certainly something you could tell me, and I would present opportunities for that, and you would have to then play up to those opportunities, right? Like, you know, staying back in a room while the party gets away, stuff like that. Yeah, certainly, mm-hmm. That's an option. The other reason you might want to do that is because you want to play a different character. Like, let's say you get tired of Aurelia, which I don't see happening. I think you really like Aurelia. But if you get tired of Aurelia, yeah, that's another option too. Is like, hey, I want to save, let my character go if something happens. Typically in D&D, if your character's going to die, most dungeon masters are going to give you the opportunity for your character to live in some way, shape, or form. But if you don't want that, that's an option too. So
I was just wondering, I was like, do I get to handle my own character's death, or will that be out of my hands completely? Because, it's every fight we go into, I have anxiety, even though I doubt my character's going to be killed off very early on into the campaign. I still have anxiety about it, and I'm like, I wonder if I was like, hey, what if I ended the camp? By the way, guys, this isn't a spoiler. This is not a peeky behind the curtain. I just wanted to know, am I allowed to be like, hey, I want it to end on my terms. That's why I said euthanize. Like, my death on my terms.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that I've seen in my time as a dungeon master. But I mean, yeah, it's not,
Okay. So it's not like you'd be like, no, of course, you don't get to choose when you die.
I mean,
I choose when you die.
So to an extent, you also don't get to choose when you die, right? Like, sometimes stuff just happens.
My dice might fuck me. My dice might just screw me over and be like, no, you're getting natural 20s and you're getting saving throws over and over again. Meanwhile, I'm desperately trying to kill myself, being like, come on. Is there any species that can survive without a head? Like, if I was to decapitate a species, and is there any that are like chickens that they just keep going? Uh-oh.
You're not supposed to stump me on this early of a question.
I'm sorry.
I don't think so. At least okay. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are creatures that could survive without a head, but there's nothing that instantly comes to mind. There's hundreds and hundreds of creatures in D&D, but nothing that instantly comes to mind.
Okay, just because, I'm like, is decapitation always the best option, or am I going to decapitate it and it's going to stand up again? I'm going to go, cool. Would it be nice to know this before? Am I allowed to willingly ignore information that my dungeon master provides me for plot purposes? Ergo, what happened in the last episode? Because I really want Aurelia to, because I don't know, I don't think we discussed this on stream.
We didn't discuss this on stream. So, full disclosure, I had sent a private message to Jess because an NPC had sent her a letter to meet her at an opera house. she misinterpreted who the letter was sent from and left out a key piece of information for the party.
Because she was too excited.
And I wasn't...
Am I allowed to do that? Because I was like, oh, I just made a plot decision.
Yeah, you're totally allowed to do that.
Okay, cool. For an insight for anyone watching this, the actual paper bird that Aurelia got said, Rainier tells us you are a good bet. He bought you tickets to the opera tonight at the Light Singer Theatre in the C Ward. If you are interested, meet Mert at intermission. Private box C, formal attire is required for admittance. Bring who you trust. But Aurelia got too excited. All she saw was Rainier, opera, tickets, and she just went cool. And so, because I feel like that would be something completely within the bounds of her character to just get all starry-eyed and love-struck just upon the reading of his name, and would just go, he's going to meet me at the opera for a date.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It was a good in-character decision. I wasn't sure if you had missed it or if you had chosen to do that. And frankly, I don't want the answer, right? Like, it, you know...
It wasn't until after we finished the stream that we discussed it. I'm like, oh no, she's gonna be heartbroken when she turns up, and he's not there.
And that's where, like, you know, if I thought it was an issue, I would have interjected and said, what else does the note say, right? Like, tell them what else the note says.
Okay.
You know,
So you will jump in if it's things
yeah.
like that, because, and I'm not trying to be cruel to Aurelia.
No, I didn't think so.
I just genuinely think that it'd be something, because she's so besotted with this man that held her hand through a dungeon, that she just really badly wants to have some sort of connection with him, that she didn't really read anything. She skim-read it.
Well, and that's where, like, that's why I had Aurelia go directly to the Castellanters and not, like, their loan offices, right? I figured that's more Aurelia's kind of very direct and very, like, naive in a way, that I figured, hey, this is how she would handle it. So when people were like, well, why would you know, the rest of the party was like, why did you're the one that made her do that? I'm like, I know I did, because I trust Jess and Jess trusts me to, you know, understand these characters. I'm not trying to, this is something that, like, dungeon masters aren't trying to gotcha you. At least good dungeon masters aren't. It's we're building a narrative and building these characters' choices out together. You know, I care about these characters as much as you guys do, so.
And I think because when we were building Aurelia, because this version 2 of Aurelia, I think because she came more organically than just the snap decision, it was more a character-driven choice than it was necessarily, oh, I really want to play this species, you know,
right,
or this race or anything like that. So, and I think that you care about the development of her character, because I think you and I both know the kind of character that she is, and I think you make decisions based on how she would actually react, because I think you already know the kind of character that she is, which is great.
Yeah, I feel like because we had batted back and forth stuff on Aurelia for so long, I feel like I understand Aurelia better than I understand the other characters. But again, same thing. If I'm making a in the moment plot decision like that, I still have the best interest of the character or the story at heart, not trying to gotcha anyone.
No, I love the fact that she turned up to their house and they were like, okay, I guess they were very hospitable hosts.
Yeah.
Arrived at their house, they were just like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess it's also, as indicated by what they said, is they know who she is. They're aware of who she is.
People with power are going to pay attention to the things going on around them. They're going to pay attention to if new people show up in their city, or if, you know, people are making the news. They're going to pay attention because they're going to try to see what they can get out of that situation, you know, to their own end.
Can I ever have, like, my faculties stolen, as it were? So, like, any of my senses, can I have any of them stolen from me? Like, my sight, my sound, my voice?
Yeah, blinded and deafened are, like, core conditions in D&D. There are spells and abilities that will blind you or deafen you temporarily at least. There are other ways that it can happen permanently, of course. But I think you're asking about, like, fairy deals with, like, Ursula, you know, because
I may have been watching The Little Mermaid, and I thought about it.
Because Ursula from The Little Mermaid is absolutely a fairy queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least a hag. She's at least a fairy hag. Yeah, that, don't make deals with fairies,
Okay, so that can happen.
Yeah. Don't, if a fairy ever asks you, can I have your name? Don't say yes. They're going to take your name.
Okay. I'll try to remember that, because Aurelia is quite trusting and naive. And so, okay, so here's where I run into problems sometimes, and I haven't run into it yet, but like I've been thinking about it, because I think a lot about Dungeons and Dragons now. That I'm like, what if I've ever given a situation at which I know my character would react differently to me because I have knowledge and outside knowledge that Aurelia might not necessarily have. Like, do I game the system in my favor, or do I follow how my character would actually react to a situation?
So this is where, like, hopefully you trust me as a dungeon master. You do whatever you feel is right, and usually that should be whatever your character would do, right? That's the point of role playing. Yeah,
because I try to run Aurelia like that, not like myself, but what would she do?
Right.
And that's where how I've been guided, and everything that she decides to do is not how I would necessarily react in a situation, but it's definitely how she would. It's definitely how the character that I've built would. So I'm going to probably have to expand upon this, but can I ever put myself in danger that wasn't already included in the story? Like, if I like willingly like walk into a thieves' den with like my sword out, you're not going to be like, well, you're not meant to go there. Like, will wandering down a strange alley put me in danger if you know, as the dungeon master, like, she shouldn't really go down there, so now I have to play out a scenario? Or would you be like, okay, she clearly doesn't know the rules, so we're not going to...
Yeah. Okay, so this is where, like, the difference between being on stream and not being on stream comes in. So... some players are going to do what you described just to be a problem, Oh. They're going to be like, I don't want to listen to the dungeon master. I just want to go off and do my own thing. I want to make their job hard. Yeah, in that case, I'm going to go, fuck you, you don't do that, right? Yeah, we get it. We're, the rest of the party's over here. Let's move on with the story. But yeah, sometimes if we're not pressed for time, and if we... and I think that might add something or be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. That could happen. You might come out of it with more allies and more, knowledge, more information. It's all going to add. I'm always looking for places where can I add an interesting ribbon onto this, right? The way I look at it, think of your character and like your adventure as, I don't know, I assume you have this in New Zealand, the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, right?
We have a version of them. We call them Girl Guides.
Great. They have a little bandolier with little badges, right?
I had those.
Think of your character as a girl guide. Not a girl. She's not a girl guide. She's the Girl Guide bandolier, right? We're trying to add all, everything you do and everyone you interact with is we're adding those little ribbons, and that's where your backstory came in, right? We saw that in episode 3 of our Dragon Heist campaign, like. Everyone's like, oh, wait, I've been here. Or, oh, I know this person, right? Those are all your badges.
Well, some of them had to check their character sheets.
Right. right. But that's what that stuff's there for, is the badge, they're the badges on your bandolier. How do you use those skills and those things you've learned to further, the story?
You can tell I'm a former Girl Guide because before every stream, I reread my backstory. Even though it hasn't changed, I have this thing of like, okay, hold on, and I reread all of my notes because I'm always writing notes, and I reread all my notes.
I do the same thing. I didn't show this on camera. My backstory for my character and my character notes are in this for my home game, the one that I'm a player in. And yeah, first thing I do in the session is I pop it open and go, okay, what did we do? What did we do the last session? And I actually have dates in here. Not our world dates, but like in world,
game dates. Oh my gosh.
Like this happened on this fake calendar date in the world, And to the point where the dungeon master goes, "What's the date?" And I'm like, "Oh, I know. I have it here." You know, he doesn't know, but I've kept good track of dates.
I've highlighted things that I think could be important because I write down so much information that there's other things that I'm like, okay, well, I feel like this is going to be key.
That's good because otherwise the notes are useless, right? If you have to go through, you know, all those notes.
I write down everything.
Good.
I write down everything.
That's good. Someone's got to, right?
Are there any creatures who have rules when it comes to defeating them? I.e., you know, how werewolves silver bullets.
Oh,
Vampires stake through the heart. Is there any creature that if I like do my normal stuff, like stab them, they're gonna be like, really? You're gonna stab me? That's how you're gonna kill me? Like, is there any that are gonna be like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I'm
you
going
don't
to
have to expand upon it.
No, I'm going to. Because these are things that like D&D players would normally know, right? If you've played a little bit, you're gonna know this eventually. And in fact, I'll use the ghost in Troll Skull for example. Okay. The ghost in Troll Skull is immune to non-magical attacks.
So stabbing it would go, what are you doing?
Yeah. A werewolf would be resistant to non-magical attacks. So you could still kill a werewolf with a regular sword. It's just going to take longer than if you had a silvered. So werewolves are immune to non-magical or silvered weapons. There are other creatures like vampires or liches that when they die, they don't really die. They go... So a lich is like Voldemort. It's an undead... it is an undead, super powerful wizard. It's where the concept of Voldemort comes from. They have split off their soul into a vessel called a phylactery.
So like a Horcrux.
Like a Horcrux, yeah.
Does Zach know this? Have we informed Zach?
I think Zach knows what a lich is, hopefully. But so when they die, their spirit goes into the phylactery, and after a certain number of days, I'll roll a die. It'll like say D10 days, right? And I'll roll a die and figure out how many days. They will reform at their phylactery. So
I'm sure they'll come back with a vengeance as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be like, hey, it's cool you killed me.
Yes.
I'm going to go about my day.
700-year-old wizard that's powerful enough to turn themselves into a lich. Yeah, they're going to be pissed off. There's also Draco liches, which are dragons. No, they're dragons that have turned themselves into liches.
And like, okay, I have to ask because dragons, because we've got Dragonborn, which are like the same size as Aurelia, right? They're quite large, like, but there are dragons that are dragon size, like Skyrim dragon size, correct?
And larger.
Oh. No, I did. Okay, so I stumbled across this on Reddit. The different sized dragons in D&D compared to Smaug in The Hobbit. And I was like, oh my god, I'm terrified because like Smaug is not a small dragon.
He's not a small dragon.
They keep getting bigger till he's just like this big.
Yep.
He's just tiny old guy, and I'm like, oh
no. Dragons, as far as like stat blocks go, when I like, let's say I want to throw a dragon at you, as a party. They're split up by color. There's different colors of dragon that do different things. And then there's different age categories. You have Wormling, which is the size of like a big dog. You have Young, which is the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Our favorite unit of measurement in Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe like 1.5 Volkswagen Beetles. Okay. And then you have Adult, which is like average dragon size. And then you have Ancient, which will be big, right? And that's like a 1,200-year-old or a 900-year-old dragon, right? It's been around for a long fucking time. It's learned a lot of things. Dragons are smart in D&D. They're not...
Okay, and so they're sentient then, so I can't keep one as a pet. Okay, just that was going to be my follow-up.
Well,
question.
you can.
Can I keep it? No, because now I'm scared it'll come back to kill me.
You
When it
can.
gets old enough.
But you'll be dead by the time it gets old enough.
Oh, okay, fine.
Because an adult...
So I can keep a baby dragon.
Yeah, an adult dragon is going to be, 300, 400 years old. You don't live that long.
How old does a half-orc live?
70 years, 80 years. Normal,
so like an average
normal human, yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Now, of course, if you become a high-level paladin, probably significantly longer. Because paladins have magic that will keep you healthy and keep you free from disease and other things like that. So, possibly significantly longer. But, on average, yeah, normal human lifespans.
Okay. Good to know. So if I come across a baby dragon, perchance could keep it. So we're dealing with mind flayers. And, I don't know if mind flayers are the same across, the board when it comes to things like that, but is there a way to fight being mind controlled? Because I'm scared that mind control is going to come into it. Do I have a way to fight it? Or are you going to just leave me in the lurch and go, you figure it out?
You have... So, when a mind controlling effect happens to your character, you will make a wisdom saving throw. You'll roll a d20 and add your wisdom saving throw.
Because that's what Godric did, correct? With the Devourer, right?
No, the Mind Flayer tried to... I think the Mind Flayer tried to dominate someone, but I don't remember who it was. And they passed. They passed the saving throw.
Yeah.
But that's also what Godric does with his roar. When he uses his roar, the target of the roar makes a wisdom saving throw, and if they pass, nothing happens. However, you as a paladin have a spell called Protection from Good and Evil, which specifically spells out you can't be charmed or influenced by aberrations, which a mind flayer is one.
That becomes so in handy. Oh my gosh, I need to have that in my spell slot.
So yes, you do have a way to fight it. You specifically have a way to fight it.
I can't project that onto other people.
Yes,
right?
you can.
Okay, that's becoming a new thing in my spell slot.
But I think you only get one target, so it's you or someone else. I think as you level up, you can target more people. But
okay, but it'd have to be me, because if I go down, then we're done. Because then we also lose a healer again.
Well, if it's not just if you go down, if you're attacking the party.
Wait, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of the implications of being mind controlled. And I'm like the tank of the party.
Yeah. If you could put down most of your friends in 1 or 2 hits.
I can't, okay. That's fine, more anxiety, that's cool. It's fine. It's so okay. More existential dread.
Yeah. Keep your existential dread.
I've got so much of it, so now we just have more. It's cool. Okay, good to know. I'm glad I found this out this way, not the other way.
It's good to find out now and not, in the middle of a live stream.
Yeah, not in the middle of, and despite Aurelia not wanting to, she lifts her greatsword against her friend. Sorry, guys.
All right, what do we have next?
Can I accidentally kill a creature, like feeding a dog chocolate?
Sure. Yeah, you could do anything you could do in real life, you could do here, right? Like, if you're going to do something like that, I'll be like, hey, roll a nature check real quick, see if you would know better.
Okay, so you're not going to let me do stupid shit.
Yeah, because this is where the character knowledge and the player knowledge comes in, right? There are things your character knows that you don't. And you can't act on those things if I don't tell you, like, hey, this is like a common thing, Okay. If it's a common thing, I'm gonna have to tell you.
Okay, perfect. just before, I'm not gonna feed dogs chocolate, but just are there species that are like, dogs and chocolate? I just want to make sure that I'm not gonna accidentally kill something off. Next one. Is there a name for the planet we're on? Are there planets?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No. I know enough about this answer to get myself in trouble. Not in trouble, but like to get something wrong. Hold on.
I was like, this is either going to be a very straightforward question or it's going to be a super complicated one. I was like, I really feel bad now.
The setting you're in is called the Forgotten Realms. You are on the planet of Toril, on the continent of Faerun, on the Sword Coast. So let's talk about the cosmology of D&D. The interplanar realms. You have Toril, which is where fairies come from, and elves come from. The planet you're on. Physics. That is on the material plane. That is where people, elves, and goblins, and then you have the plane of fire, which is where elemental magic is sort of is a big stream. Those are all within crystal spheres. Big skull meteor, massive swings that are controlled by the emotions of the beings on it. Killer clowns from outer space, limbo, and you can all these places. You can leave the planet and go travel through space.
The one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
So that's how space in D&D works.
Am I allowed a pet?
Sure.
Can Aurelia get herself a pet?
Yeah. Again, easier said than done, but yeah. I mean, you can go buy a dog, but you don't want a dog. You want something that will, like, help you and listen to you. Yeah.
In combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easier said than done to do that, but yes, it's possible. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more, you can click the subscribe button down below. If you want to catch up on our live play campaign, you can click one of these playlists right over here. And if you want to see us live, we'll be playing this Saturday, December 30th, here on the channel, following up on the rest of our Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, seeing where our 4 rookies take this adventure. We will see you then.